Now, our next speaker is a friend who's become a friend, and unfortunately, the circumstances in which we've become friends deal in the aftermath of what happened in October 7th in Israel. Now, if you've been living under a rock, I'm sure all of you know of the atrocities that took place on October 7th. More than 1,200 individuals brutally murdered in the most grotesque ways you can imagine. The Faith and Freedom Coalition, the North Carolina chapter, and our West Virginia chapter had a trip planned to Israel for November of 2023. And we were looking at it, and the airlines canceled the flights, the hotels canceled the booking, and it looked like we weren't going to be able to go. But as things progressed, we realized it was more critical than ever to stand with Israel and stand with the Jewish people. Because while what happened in Israel was an attack in Israel, let me be clear, October 7th was an attack on the Jewish people. October 7th was an attack on the Jewish people. We had this trip planned, everything was canceled, and we made the decision that if it was at all possible, we were going to take that solidarity mission. And so a group of elected officials I was honored to lead to Israel, we were on the ground in November, and we stood in kibbutz Kfar Aza. It's about a mile from the Gaza border, a kilometer from the Gaza border. It was one of the kibbutz, it was one of the villages that was hit the hardest. We stood in the rubble of a house of a family of 5 who are no longer with us, and I'm not going to go into the details because I know my kids are here and we have a mixed audience. But it was heartbreaking. But when we came out of that house, out of that rubble, and saw the members of the IDF, Israel is still standing and the Jewish people are still standing. And if the Georgia Faith and Freedom Coalition has anything to say about it, we're going to keep that fight. Now, just yesterday, Senator Kennedy, where are you at? Senate President Kennedy, back there. Representative John Carson, are you in the House? Representative Esther Panich. Just yesterday, there was a bill, House Bill 30, that had passed the House last legislative session, dealing with anti-Semitism, defining it, because if you can't define what evil is, how do you defeat it? It's a pretty simple bill, but we're honored to speak in support of that bill, and thanks to the leadership of those that I mentioned and so many others, that bill passed unanimously out of the Senate Judiciary Committee led by Senator Strickland. Now, our next speaker became a friend in unfortunate circumstances. But night is always darkest before the dawn, and on October 8th, the sun shone on Israel and the sun shone on the Jewish people. Please join me in welcoming Consul General of Israel to the southeastern United States, Anat Sultan-Dadon.
There's not a lot that is heartwarming for Israelis these days, but this is very heartwarming for me. Thank you, Dr. Reed, Mac Parnell, and the Georgia Faith and Freedom Coalition for allowing me to join you today. It is a special privilege to be here with so many friends of Israel. In a few days, we will mark International Holocaust Remembrance Day on January 27th, the date of the liberation of the Auschwitz-Birkenau extermination camp, the site that has become a symbol of the hell on earth created by the Nazis and their collaborators during the Holocaust. This commemoration serves as a reminder of what occurred when the world stood by in the face of evil, and of the necessity to ensure that never again, never become hollow words. Today, we face another evil that wishes to destroy us. The murderous attack on Israel on October 7th has changed us forever. It will be inscribed as one of the darkest points in our people's history. While we mourn the precious lives lost on that day and in the wars since then, our hearts are also with the over 130 remaining hostages, men, women, and children, including a 1-year-old baby, who are now spending their 109th night in captivity. This is not a political issue, but a human issue, and anyone who stands for life and humanity should be demanding their immediate and unconditional release. We are at war, not of our choice. Our choice as a people and as a nation has always been the choice of peace. But when we face an enemy that seeks to destroy us, we have to fight to protect ourselves and to ensure that we will always be able to protect ourselves. Generations of Jews dreamed of the day when we would have an army and be able to protect ourselves. Our regained sovereignty in our ancient homeland, in the Israel Defense Forces, who are now acting to protect our country and our people, are the fulfillment of that dream. With so many falsehoods circulating about this war, it should be stated clearly. We are not fighting an enemy with a political agenda. We are fighting an enemy with a genocidal agenda. Hamas's goal is clear, stated proudly: the destruction of the state of Israel and the Jewish people. We are fighting to defend ourselves, as is the right and duty of any sovereign nation. But this is not just Israel's fight. Israel is on the front line fighting terror, but also a radical Islamist ideology that is a threat to all members of the free world who sanctify life in the face of those who glorify death. Astonishingly, not all are demonstrating moral clarity in the face of evil. As we fight those who committed the largest massacre of Jews in a single day since the Holocaust, we are witnessing demonstrations all around the world, including here in Georgia, by those who shamelessly side with terror. On college campuses, alarming expressions of anti-Semitism are being tolerated by too many. The time for standing up to anti-Semitism, for demonstrating moral clarity, loud and clear, is now. Hamas's genocidal goals are the echoing of the threats made by the Ayatollah's regime of Iran. Hamas would not have been able to carry out the heinous terror attack of October 7th without the training, funding, equipping, guidance, and logistical support that it receives from Iran. Iran seeks a new fundamentalist Islamic regional order, using terror and violence towards that end through its terror proxies. Iran must be held accountable, and decisive action must be taken to prevent it from continuing to undermine regional and global stability and peace. The history of the modern state of Israel, the nation state of the Jewish people, dates back 75 years. But our history as a people dates back over 3,000 years. We have experienced persecution and attempts to destroy us, but throughout history, we have prevailed. while all of our past enemies are now confined to the pages of history. We will win this war, and we will defeat this evil. "75 years ago, the United States was the first to recognize Israel's statehood, and it has continued to stand by Israel ever since. At this difficult time, we know that Israel has no better ally than the United States, and we are grateful for the friendship and support expressed also by so many here in Georgia. To our many friends in Georgia, many of you are present here today. Thank you for your leadership, for your support, and for your moral clarity at this moment of truth for the Jewish people and the Jewish state. Thank you.